Well, welcome everyone.
Yeah, welcome. We got to get back in the groove of things. This is going to be a journey.
Yes, it is. It's been a little while. We have been a little MIA, but just life has taken over, and that's just part of being moms.
I know. I haven't been on Instagram for like a week, and then I'm just I didn't announce that I was taking a break. It just kind of happened, and then I'm like, do I go back on because it's the end of the week, or do I just wait till next week to go on and post anything?
Well, and I don't normally post a whole lot more outside of our podcast episodes. So I really feel like I'm silent. I haven't been on stories. I just haven't. There's just been a lot going on, and I just haven't really felt like I had anything to say.
I know. Yeah. I feel like business owners, for some reason, I feel so many small business owners get so in their head about having to post on social media constantly. And I feel like the only thing that keeps me sane on social media is just doing it when I want to, which I do have to say, I do post a lot, but I like posting that much. But whenever I don't have anything to post, or I'm just kind of over it for a minute, I just let myself not post for a week or two. Until I'm feeling like it again. And then it'll come back where I feel like it, But then I feel like the content is so much better when you do that than when you that's why I don't I know so many people say oh, you should schedule out your content and everything. And I just never have done that because I just post whatever I feel like posting whenever I feel like it. So I'm I don't really want to schedule out because I'm not going to be passionate about talking about that at that moment. Whatever.
Yeah. And I think you and I, we prefer to just do videos and reels and stuff like that versus a swipe through post. And so, yeah, you can't really post. You can't really schedule that out that much.
I know. Yeah. And I get not even FOMO because it's FOMO of my own content because I know what it is. But if I post something in my drafts, I'm just gonna post it as soon as I can. I never save stuff in my drafts. I will just post if I have a day where I feel like recording a lot, I'll just record it and then just post it all throughout the day. Versus if I save it in my drafts for some reason, when I go back and watch it over and over again, I hyper analyze it and then I'll just never post it.
That's
so I just yeah.
I just post stuff. I record stuff and then I get either sidetracked or I have to go do something or whatever. So I just save it to drafts and then later when I go back, I'm ugh, that's cringy. Yeah. I'm not going to post that. Or I don't want to re-record it, so I'm just not going to post it. So yeah, I have tons of drafts that I just don't ever.
Post. Yeah. I don't know why. If I'm feeling passionate about talking about it, I will talk about it and then immediately post it and be I feel good about it. But if I look back at a time when I'm not passionate about talking about that topic, I'm just why am I saying this? Why am I saying? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just don't save drafts. I just post when I feel like it. But but do you know what though? That's the best way to be, especially on TikTok. I feel like Instagram, so many people have curated feeds, and that's not my life. I wish I was more like that, but it's just not who I am. But TikTok is more just random. But oh my gosh, I just had the most random post go viral on TikTok. It has 200,000 views, so not crazy viral, but one of my bigger videos. And do you know what it's about? It's about Joe. Did you see this?
Yeah.
It was about Joe going to Target to buy me brown tights.
Yes.
And literally, it has so many views. And I literally, when I recorded it, I was this is the stupidest story. Nobody's going to care. And I was about to just put it on my stories because I was just laughing at myself about it. He was at Target and I was laughing at myself about our conversation. So I was going to post it just on my stories. And then I was I'll post it on my feed, but it's going to get 100 views. Nobody's going to look at it. And it has 200,000 views. I'm have our expectation of men stooped so low that people really think that this is so amazing that my husband went to go buy brown tights for me at Target?
Or it's just so relatable.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's good.
Maybe insight. That's it. Who knows? Yeah, it's always the things that you don't anticipate,
Mm-hmm.
you know, going, or the things you don't spend a lot of time on
Mm-hmm.
that goes viral, I feel like, or
Yeah.
gets the most like views.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always.
It's so random. Of course, though, the video is 45 seconds, so I don't get any TikTok creator fund money from it, which are my last 2 videos that went viral because they have to be a minute long or longer. My last 2 videos that went viral were under a minute. But honestly, sometimes I feel like TikTok purposely pushes the under a minute videos so then they don't have to pay you.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I feel like my videos are way more likely to go viral if they're just like a little bit under a minute than like a minute long.
Yeah. Well, gosh, like so much I feel like has happened since we've been on here. Like we've had Easter, you've had a couple births, I've had kindergarten screening and kindergarten info night. Like,
oh my gosh. We haven't done anything yet for like Alta's in, but like we haven't had any like parent nights or anything like that.
Well, and you went out of town, like on vacation, like it's been crazy.
Oh my gosh, my life has been. I was so annoyed that you guys didn't have any births while I was gone because I had so many the last couple of weeks, and then I'm like, can you guys just have 1 or 2 so I don't have any when I get back for a little while? But we didn't have any clients like due right around that time, so I'm not surprised. I'm just it is what it is. But we had 2 babies in 24 hours. That I did both. I ended up doing both the births, so
because they were, well, I guess they didn't end up being inductions, but they were supposed to be scheduled inductions like at the same time.
One person went into labor, the other person like on her induction day. Then the other person, she was 37 weeks. It was a medical induction, but it went really smooth and really fast because Morgan was going to switch with me, one of the other doulas who works with us. And for those of you who don't know who Morgan is, and then I was just like, you don't have to, like, it's almost over. And then it was. So, it was really fast. So, it was good. But, it's just been insane. And as you guys can hear, I have a stupid cough. I don't know. I'm not sick at all except for a stupid cough. And it will not go away.
And you had your wisdom teeth out. Like, and all of
that. Have we really not even talked since then? Yeah, and honestly, that was only like 2 weeks ago, or like it was only like, it was like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, wow, so much has happened that I forgot. It's only 2 weeks. Or like 2.5 weeks ago.
It's been a crazy couple weeks, hence the reason our schedules have just not worked out for recording. But
I know.
Here we are.
Did you ever get your wisdom teeth out?
I did. I got them out when I was 18.
Oh, I wish I got them out when I was 18.
And I think I only had like 3. I just didn't have a 4th one.
The 4th one?
Yeah, I think it was 3. But they were all like laying down sideways. Like they were not even like trying to come up straight. So, and I had braces. And so they're like, you have to get those out or everything that you've done this far with your braces is just going to go out the window. So it was not a fun thing, but it was nice because, I was 18. I didn't have kids. My mom took care of me.
That's why I was like, Mom, why didn't you force me to get these out when I was 18? Because now I have to like take off work. I have to watch my kids. I'm like, I didn't go under anesthesia because they said that if I go under, I couldn't breastfeed for 24 hours. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
And not that that's that big of a deal anymore with Desi, but like, I definitely wouldn't be able to stay at the house because he would just be like freaking out if he saw me. But I was just like, no, you can't nurse. So I was like, well, I'd have to stay at my parents if I got anesthesia. And I just hate anesthesia. Like I've gone under 3 different times. And every time I feel so sick after, like so out of it and nauseous. I get so nauseous and sick. I hate the feeling. And so I was just like,
sleepy.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I'm sleepy, but I'm also just like, I like projectile vomit every single time I come out of anesthesia.
Ugh, yeah,
it's horrible. Even when they give me Zofran.
I've only been under like twice.
Okay.
I went under for my wisdom teeth, and I went under for my egg retrieval.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've had two. I had a surgery on my arm when I was 9. I broke it. It was like one of those fractures where like the bone like splinters and sticks up through, like it almost was breaking through the skin. Mm-hmm. So they had to go in and like re-break the whole thing into like a clean break and then put the cast on. But I distinctly remember, so I was 9, so like I have memories of it. But the doctor was so nice, but like he was too nice. Like he was very good with kids. Obviously, it's like a pediatric orthopedist.
Yeah.
But he was like, he brought a bunch of donuts for the nurses like as I was getting wheeled into my surgery. And I was like, I want a donut, but I couldn't eat anything and I was like so hungry. And he was like, you pick out whatever donut you want and I'll save it for you. So I picked out like, this like cream filled sprinkled donut. And he gave it to me in recovery. So, like, as I was recovering from anesthesia, I ate this giant chocolate donut and I vomited for like 12 hours. Like, I could not stop puking.
Aww, his intentions were good.
I know. My parents were so annoyed at him. They were like, why did you do that? But he was just trying to be nice. And then I've been under for 2 abdominal surgeries because I had endometriosis when I was a teenager and I got endometriosis removed. When I was 19, I had surgery for that. And it's never come back. So that's really nice. Yeah, I always thought my mom had horrible endometriosis and like she had a hysterectomy in her late 30s. Maybe she was 40. But anyways, so far I haven't had any come back since that surgery when I was 19. And then I had my appendix removed too. I had appendicitis. Yeah. I was actually, that was did I ever tell you that story?
I feel like maybe bits and pieces.
Okay, I'll tell a quick version for the podcast. Okay. So I had chronic appendicitis. Have you ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. So like, and it wasn't like
it gets inflamed and then it
goes down, then inflamed, then goes down. And so everybody thought that my endometriosis had just come back because it was like I would get like huge waves of pain, then it would like subside. And so I had scheduled surgery to get my endometriosis removed again. And then the pain got so bad one night that I was like, I have to go to the emergency room. Like, I'm so sick. I was like, couldn't keep any food down. Like, it was just severe pain. So I went to the ER and they were like, yeah, like you have endometriosis surgery, like scheduled, like you don't really need anything, whatever. But then one doctor was like, let me just do like imaging to make sure it's nothing, like it's not your appendix or anything like that. And they couldn't find my appendix. It was behind one of my ovaries. Like it was completely invisible on ultrasound, everything that they did a CAT scan, they did ultrasound. They were just like, did you have your appendix removed? And I was like, no. And then they're like, not to my knowledge. They couldn't find it anywhere. And so then this like young doctor, and I hadn't eaten, I was like throwing up sick. And then I hadn't eaten for like 12 hours past when I was vomiting and everything because they kept being like, you might have to go into surgery. So they wouldn't give me anything to eat. So there was this young doctor taking care of me and he was just like, yeah, like we can't find your appendix on ultrasound, so we can't rule that out. But also I'm not going to go put you under the knife for what is probably endometriosis. So he was about to discharge me, like just on pain meds. And this, like, he was like, okay, like, nurse, give her some crackers, like, whatever, because we're about to discharge her. And then I guess he was out at, like, the nurse's station or something, like, talking about my case. And this, like, old doctor came in who was, like, really old. And he was like, let me just take a look at her. And he was like, I've been diagnosing appendicitis way before there was ever imaging to do it, whatever. And so he, like, touched my stomach. I, like, winced. And then he, like, bent my leg up. And I was like, like, ow. And then he was like, oh yeah, don't give her those crackers. Like, I'm wheeling her into the OR right now. And he like literally took the crackers away from me, wheeled me into the OR, and my appendix was about to burst on the one side. It was like all inflamed and like about to burst. He showed me, he thought it was so cool. He showed me a bunch of pictures of it. Like,
oh my gosh.
Look at what I caught or whatever. And so I was very, very thankful for him. But it was it was like 24 hours in the hospital
because that
before.
could have been so bad if you would have gone home and then become like septic because it ruptured. Oh
I
my
know.
gosh.
I know. I was so grateful. And he checked out. He looked all around to make sure I didn't have any endo at that point too, and he didn't see anything. So he was like, "Well, I'm in there. I'll just check all around." And he didn't see anything at all. So yeah, that was when I was like 22, I think. So yeah. Anyways, that's a short story of an old school doctor like saved my life potentially, or at least helped me not get really, really sick. So I was very, very appreciative.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, what's been going on with you? We went through all my dramatic to what apparently has all happened in just 2 weeks.
No, I mean we went to it's Royals baseball season in Kansas City, and so we went to the opening day game and took our kids with us, and
they did take the kids?
Well. Yeah, the kids were with us. They did so well. Considering we started kind of tailgating. It wasn't like a crazy tailgate because our friends brought their kids too.
Yeah.
Family-friendly tailgate, but it started early. And my oldest obviously did not get any sort of nap. We went straight into the game, stayed for the whole game. And my daughter, she napped in the car for like an hour. So all things considered, it was good. They had a lot of fun. Ate all kinds of sugar and snacks, but it was good.
I'm sure. Yeah. That is really good. You're braver than me.
And then that led us right into like Easter weekend. And so we had egg hunts and family things and all of that going on. And that all went really well. And we had
I feel like there's been so much drama this year online about like, what do you put in Easter basket? What do you guys put in your Easter baskets?
Usually I keep it pretty small. Like I usually just shop like the Target dollar bins.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Walmart dollar bins, they have their
do they have dollar bins
section now too? Yeah. And so usually I just kind of shop that and get some things, but I also try not to load up on a lot of stuff that won't be like used. So like I like to get like Play-Doh and kinetic sand and bubbles and chalk, those things that are going to be used and not just like junk up my house.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really easy when you're trying to like fill a basket to just get junk. So
totally.
And then I don't go overboard on candy. I knew that we were gonna have a couple of egg hunts that they were gonna get candy at. So I always like to get like the Yum Earth candy.
Oh yeah.
Like the organic candy. So Yum Earth had jelly beans this year. This is the first year I've seen them. I'm sure they've had them other years, but they had jelly beans, and so put that in there. And then Brindley's birthday was so close to Easter that I had some like late birthday presents that didn't make it in time. So I like threw those in her basket. So she got like her first pair of Crocs. You know, that was probably like the most expensive thing that I put in there.
We put like a play summer sandal in the back. Yeah. Because it's just like, that's around the time that I'm going to be buying it anyway. So it goes in there. Bubbles. I sometimes put like 1 or 2 like spring t-shirts or something in there. But I don't do a lot either, and not a ton of candy either. But we did like a little egg hunt around the yard, and then my parents always give them like a little basket too, and that's almost always just primarily candy. So
my in-laws and my parents do Easter baskets for them, and then my in-laws do an Easter egg hunt for all of the grandkids.
Oh, okay.
And then we went to a church Easter egg hunt with our friends. So they got plenty of candy, buckets of candy. But then it's, just putting all of that away. Like getting rid of the like clearing out the baskets and all of that. And I managed to do that pretty quickly this year. But
well, good for you, because my baskets are still on our what we call our nook, or like one little area of the kitchen counter that's like kind of separate and never gets like everything thrown at it. It's called our nook. They're still in the nook.
But we had a really good like long break together. It was fun. And
Well, good.
I don't know. We've been to the zoo a couple times. My son, like I said, had kindergarten screening this week. So we took like just a day with just him and my husband and I and kind of spent the day together. We watched the solar eclipse at the zoo by the elephant. So that was interesting.
Oh, did you guys? Yeah. So we went to Texas to see the total, like the total solar eclipse.
Cool.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. It's like, did you see the one in Kansas City back like 6.5 years ago?
Yeah.
It was pretty cloudy that day. At least I remember. And it was kind of cloudy in Texas a little bit, but it like the clouds broke apart enough for us to really get like a good look. And Alda thought it was like so cool. Her and her cousin started running around trying to find somewhere to sleep because it was nighttime. They were like, "Oh no, we're baby leopards and it's nighttime. We need to find somewhere to sleep." And so they're like trying to sleep on the grass. It was really cute. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was hectic but really fun. It was like the perfect amount of time for a trip. We were gone, like we got there Friday and then we left Monday after the solar eclipse. But it's like, so Alda's the oldest cousin that was there. And there's 6 kids between her age and a 1-year-old. So it's just like crazy. And so it was like by that third day, Monday, it was like all the kids were getting a little like agitated and sick of each other. And like they had so much fun the first couple of days. And then they just start getting cranky because they haven't slept like their full naps for a couple of days. They haven't been sleeping good at night. They're like overstimulated. So it was like a good time to leave. It was like, this is like 3 days was perfect for that amount of chaos. But when we were there, they had so much fun together. I mean, there was just a constant friend to play with. And my in-laws did a really good job of planning a lot of like activities with the kids. So they like took the kids to do a lot of like they did like a science hour every day with the older kids during the younger kids' nap time and like had little crafts and stuff for them to do. So I felt like there was a good balance of like free time and things. And we went to a little zoo, and obviously it's not big as the Kansas City Zoo. It's a pretty small town down there. But we went to Tyler, Texas, which is like 30 minutes from my in-laws. So like a little zoo, but it was honestly like the perfect size zoo to like walk around and you saw everything in like an hour and a half to 2 hours, like with the kids. Yeah. So they had a lot of fun. And there was honestly some exhibits that I liked a lot better than Kansas City. Like there was like the lions, you could see like the way that they had the lion enclosure. You could see them so much better versus like the Kansas City Zoo. I feel like my kids love the lions and they're always like hidden behind a rock somewhere. You can never see them.
Laying down or something,
Yeah. So they had it kind of set up that like the lions were laying around the rocks, but you could see them really well from like where you could see them and stuff. And so my kids really, really liked that. And they had black bears too that were like you could get really up close to. My daughter for some reason is terrified of bears. Like she's never like I don't know why. She's like has it in her head that like a bear is gonna eat her one day. And so like every time we go somewhere, like when we go to Texas, she's like, "Is there bears in Texas?" I'm like, "Not really." Like
that's funny.
Because I grew up with like black bears around a lot. Like I've seen probably like 4 or 5 black bears pretty up close, like during my 18 years of life in Pennsylvania. And so I'm just like, they're not that scared. Like they don't usually like attack humans or anything like that. But for some reason, poor little city kid, she's just like terrified of every time we see woods, she's like, "Do you think bears live in those woods?"
Their imaginations.
Yeah.
Their imaginations are cute. My kids have like really been playing a lot with their imaginations. So like they've been playing Vacation. Apparently I need to plan a vacation to the beach, but they've been playing Vacation together and like it's so cute because Brax will help Brenly like pack her bag and like make sure she has a swimsuit and a towel and sandals. And then like the other day she was wearing her puddle jumper around and he pretends to like drive them places. They'll like make a car out of her bed or whatever. They made like an airplane out of the couch. And I'm like, this is great. I love this. And then like the next day they're at each other's throats. But it's cute when they're like pretend playing together. It's so great.
Yeah. That's something my kids have started doing a lot more of is fighting. Like Alda was like very, very kind and like understanding to Desi being little for a long time. And then now that he's getting older, she's not as like, which is fair because he also will like hit her now or steal a toy from her hands. And like, that's not acceptable behavior. And like, that needs to obviously be taken care of. But they definitely like fight a lot more, like sibling fight, which they just never did until the last couple of months. But Desi's getting older, youngers are getting to be more, you know, trying to find their place in the world and a little bit more strong-headed.
I've been really struggling, like, you know, after Bryn's birthday, I've been really struggling with like, where did that 2 years go? Like, where I don't know where it went. Like, how did that even happen?
I think it's so busy when you have other kids. It's just like it goes fast.
It is, and like I think a lot has changed. Like a lot has changed in those 2 years as far as like my career and like my husband's. Like a lot has changed, and so I just feel like we've just been living life. But I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's gone so fast.
Yeah. So we've caught up, but we're really going to talk today. It's like 26 half an hour.
Like maybe for the next like 15 minutes.
But I did find some interesting TikToks in the last like couple of days.
Okay, so we were just gonna. I only have one that I like really want to talk about. So you go first on yours, and then
mine will be pretty quick, I think. But one I was speaking of like things going fast and just kind of like going through the motions a lot of the time. There was a TikTok about moms and how those that are in entrepreneurial roles or leadership roles, you know, managers, directors, whatever, just any role where you're making a lot of decisions. And that decision fatigue that comes along with your job, because we know that as moms, we a lot of times have decision fatigue just as moms, and how it can be really hard to find the balance and have anything left to give to your family after a full day of work and like decision making. And so she was talking about trying to monotask instead of multitask. And
what does that mean?
She said, you know, we're very used to multitasking, even just when we're doing things as like leisurely activities. So if we're going on a walk, a lot of times we might be also checking email on our phone or listening to music or a podcast. Like we're multitasking. When we're driving, we're listening to music or a podcast, or we're doing a lot of things at once all the time. That's just also just how our society is. And so she was saying, like, choose one thing a day that you're going to monotask. So if you're driving, you're just driving. Like, you're not listening to music. You're not listening to a podcast. You're not on your phone scrolling social media in traffic. Like, you're just like focused on the one task at hand. And she said, so like, start doing that with one thing, and then, you know, start trying to do that more and more throughout your day so that your brain has a little bit of rest. Because I know that I don't do that. Like,
no, you know what? I
have a really hard time with that.
Yeah, and I notice with like at nighttime, like if I'm watching a show and I'm like scrolling my phone at the same time or something like that, my anxiety just goes like up and up and up and up and up and up, because it's like your brain gets so overstimulated. There's too much like information going in that of course it makes you anxious because your brain can't process all of it. No, I agree. That's a really good, and I don't necessarily always do that, but I was recently just talking, actually on vacation, I was talking to my husband's uncle, who's like 70 years old, about how like we never have downtime anymore. Like how like before, because we were talking about how like so many teenagers, like there's like a mental health crisis and like teenagers, and I was like, well, think about it, like before, when I was a teenager, because we didn't have smartphones when I was a teenager, I didn't have my first smartphone until I was in college. Like I would be waiting for my parents to pick me up for 20 minutes at the movies, and I would just stand there and wait. Like, I didn't have anything to do. Like, I would just stand there and wait and like look at my surroundings and think of thoughts in my brain. Like, how wild. But like now, like teenagers and those little minuscule amounts of time, and like we have a hard time with it as adults of not like constantly looking at our phones and stuff. But think about it as a teenager of like the constant influx of like people doing things that you think are doing things that are interesting, are looking, look better than you, are doing their makeup better than you. Like the constant influx of things that could like bring down your insecurity is just like constant, of like, you don't just have peer pressure now at school, you have it constantly outside of school, and not just with your peers, but like everybody that you could gain access to on the internet. So people that have way more money than you, that people who live in way more affluent areas, people who are older than you, and stuff. You're like, wow, this person travels and does this and does this and does this. And like, oh, I'm so boring. I'm so blah. You know what I mean? Like, how easy is it probably to get down on yourself? And I've just been thinking about it a lot more because now our kids are getting older, and like, what do I want to model to them? Do I want to like always be, do we want to always be scrolling on our phone while we're like making dinner? Or do we want to like have our phones down and be like talking to our kids?
Yeah, it's hard. I struggle with it. Like even when my kids aren't around, I struggle to just like sit. Like, and I think part of that too is like the constant like to-do list. Like, oh, I need to order groceries. Oh, I need to do this. But it's hard. It's hard in our society. And like, I'm so guilty of like, if I go on a walk, I throw my headphones in and I listen to a podcast, like, or I listen to music or whatever. And it's just that, you just don't have that like time to just like let your mind rest. So yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And our mind needs like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I just recorded a reel that I was going to post today about how social media can just be such a beast and can be so, like, detrimental to your mental health, whether you realize it or not. A lot of times we don't realize it,
Especially as, like, moms, too. Like, just, like, I'm talking about teenagers get stuck in the comparison game. We can get stuck in the comparison, or I could be doing this better, I can be doing this better, because we're constantly seeing what other people are doing. And I was just thinking about how I was thinking about this the other day, how like, why do we always need a research study to decide what we think is best to do for our kids? Like, why do we always need to be like verify it? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, this research says that kids should only have an hour of screen time a day. Well, it's like, I just know that my kids get really cranky if they have more than an hour of screen time a day. So I just should limit, like, why do I need like a study to verify what I can just like observe from my children and like decide on? And then you see these wars of like, no, this is the guideline. This is the guideline. It's like, well, we don't have to follow a guideline. We could just follow like our intuition as parents.
And I think that directly relates to that decision fatigue. Like, oh yeah, we need something else to tell us because we cannot decide for ourselves because we have too much going on, too much stimulation. So
yeah, and then I think we're also afraid of like, I think we're also afraid of being like judged by other parents for our decisions if they don't line up with what is like the perfect ideal scenario that pediatricians or researchers. I'm not talking about things that are like dangerous to kids. Like you shouldn't give your kids uncut grapes at 1. That shouldn't be like a parent. You know what I mean? Like that's just generally a dangerous thing to do. Yeah. But like with all the little things, I think we're so worried about being perceived wrong or not doing it right or screwing up our kid that we just like overanalyze all those little tiny things. And it's just, it's exhausting. And I agree with the entrepreneurship side too, is you do just make a lot of decisions in a day. Gosh, sometimes I'm like, I wish, like, even though I feel like I didn't do a lot today, I had to do so much like big thinking, decision making that I'm like, gosh, sometimes I wish I could just go to my computer and somebody tell me, here, you need to balance these books. It's 2 of them.
Right? You don't need to think about it. You don't need to worry about why it looks a certain way. You just need to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about mine.
Yeah.
So, mine was a TikTok. Do you follow Matt and Abby?
Yeah.
Know who they are? And I feel about them. But anyways, but they have a podcast that they were talking about. She was talking about mommy makeovers and like if she's going to get like plastic surgery done or not now after having two kids. And anyways, she was just talking about stuff that I feel like I've thought about a lot. So like, she was kind of talking about like, oh, like I'm proud of my body, like what it's done, but also like, well, if I could have a better body, why do I feel bad about, like, should I do that? Or do I feel bad about doing that? Or do I want to just embrace my body, whatever? And I don't know what your opinion is on mommy makeovers. I tend to like, I guess I don't have any problem with people getting that. Like if somebody wants to get a mommy makeover, which for those of you who don't know what a mommy makeover is, it's usually like a breast lift, an augmentation, and a tummy tuck. But I tend to have this, I've like thought this through myself of like, because there's things about my body that like are obviously not the same after having babies or like I'd like to change. But I toy with these two thoughts of like, okay, one, it's like a lot of money. Okay, if I had to pick anything to get done, I'd get my boobs lifted. That's pretty much all I would get done. Is like I'd get them
exactly.
Like I don't care that my stomach is a little stretched out or like you know, or my belly button looks a little funky, like whatever. I don't care. But like my boobs just are not this like they need to be lifted up 2 inches. Like
not necessarily need to be like bigger, just like up here.
Honestly, I had pretty big boobs before I had kids. Now they're still the same size, but they're just like stretched out so they don't look as big. But I'm like, I don't care to add any fat. I just need the skin like pulled back up.
Yes.
So anyways, so I've like toyed with this idea of like, well, on one side, I'd like to have boobs that looked more like my boobs before kids and like clothes would fit me better and like I'd feel more confident and like just generally things would fit me better and stuff like that. But also one, it's like a lot of money. And like, is there other things that would be like, I kind of feel bad spending that much like money on myself or something like as vain as getting my boobs lifted. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, I'm also like a generally confident person. Like I don't have like, even though there's things I would want to change about my body, I feel very confident, like living my life with my body the way it is. Like, I don't feel like I need to cover up. I wear bikinis still. Like, I'm just like, yeah, I am who I am. And this is what my body looks like. So I'm like, as someone who is more confident, I feel like, isn't it kind of like a service to the next generation to be like, this is what, like, it's okay to look like you've lived in your body. Because I don't like the like mommy makeover thing of everybody's like, of you see in especially areas of the country where people have more like, or areas where people have money, where it's like everybody looks like they've never existed in their body. Like they have the nips, the tucks, the Botox, the lip fillers. Like nobody looks like they're aging. And it's like, wouldn't it be such a blessing to the next generation for them to see like natural aging as just something that just happens? Yeah, it just happens and it's okay. You can still be like a beautiful, lovely person and your whole worth isn't tied to what your body looks like and what your face, if your face has wrinkles or not. And so like I don't know. So what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Exact same. Like I hate when I see like headlines and stuff about like these celebrities, for instance, like these celebrities that are aging normally. They're in their 60s. They should look like they're in their 60s. They shouldn't look like they're in their 30s. And there's like all these headlines like, oh, like talking about how terrible they look. And I'm like, they don't look terrible. They look their age. Like they've lived life and they're not worried.
Oh, they have smile lines or whatever.
And
it's
to
like,
me,
okay,
that shows that they're confident in who they are and what they have to offer to the world outside of their. But yeah, so I just feel like that shows that they are confident in who they are and that their looks doesn't define who they are. So I'm with you. I want to be able, especially having a daughter.
Girl, yeah.
You know, like I don't want her to feel like she needs to look perfectly And
or that like your looks are the most important thing about you. Like that's what I harp on too, of like, why are we all trying to like attain this level of like youthful beauty that we once had, when like I feel like as I'm getting older, I'm enjoying my looks not becoming like the center of attention. Of like, I have so many more other amazing things about myself that I can focus on, other than having the perfect body, having the flat stomach, like all those things. Like, you as a woman have so many more things that are more interesting about you than just your body or what you look like.
Yeah. And crap, what was I going to say? Totally lost it. Just like gone.
That's okay.
I was going to say, I think there is the other side of this is there are a lot of women and men that, you know, end up losing a ton of weight.
Oh, yeah.
And then they have all this extra skin and stuff that like, it's never going to go away. So,
oh, yeah.
Like, I totally understand them wanting to like have work done to like get rid of all that extra skin and stuff so that their clothes fit better and they, you know, truly look the size that they are.
Oh, yeah. So totally.
I get that side of it too.
Yes. So I think that there's that paradox, right? Of like, there's people who like, and I don't judge anybody who gets plastic surgery. So I think it's like this fine line between like, you know, oh, is it okay that people get plastic surgery to feel more confident? Sure. Like, I don't care. But generally as women, wouldn't it be so amazing if we just became more confident in like the normal fluctuations of that life has on our body, of like, yes, we're probably thinner and have faster metabolisms when you're younger. And then we have kids and we have a little bit of stretched out skin and our belly buttons might not look the same. And then we breastfeed and our boobs might hang a little bit lower. Like, wouldn't that type of like just normal body change be like respected and viewed still as like beautiful? Because I do have to say, like, the more I see influencers who don't get work done and post their real bodies, the more I become comfortable with my body and how it's changed and confident in it. Versus on the other side, we also have the ability now on social media to follow tons of people who, unbeknownst to us, have tons of work done to their bodies and like look a certain way because they've paid a lot of money to look a certain way. But to us, and especially to younger girls, it's really easy to look at that and be like, why doesn't my body look like that after I had 3 kids? You know what I mean? Like, it's really easy to look at that.
And everyone's lifestyle is different. Like, you know, there are moms out there that have the money and the resources and the time to spend tons of time in the gym and meal prep all their food and, you know, pay someone to do X, Y, and Z for them. And that's not always the reality for a lot of people. And 100%. So I think it's just, But I have always said that if I was going to have work done, I was going to have my boobs done. And I was just going to have them lifted. I don't really want like implants. I don't want them to be like big. I just always said like I was going to have them lifted up.
That's exactly what I've always said. So I guess, and like, it's like, maybe my opinion will change over time of like, oh yeah, I'm going to get a boob lift now or something like that. But like, generally, I just have these paradoxical thoughts, especially like you said, like having a daughter, of like, I also want, because my mom had stretched out stomach skin and stuff like that. And I just saw it as like, that's just, when you have a baby, that's like what happens, you know? And so like, I didn't feel like really weird or scared about that, like in life or whatever. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to have a baby and my stomach might get stretched out or whatever. Because it was just seen as like part of life and motherhood, and you can still be a beautiful person and whatever and still have stretched out stomach skin. Like, and I say this also, I guess I want to add that I come from this perspective as a place of privilege of like, I didn't get horrible stretch marks in my pregnancy. I didn't like have like, there are people who do all the right things and still get really stretched out skin, really bad stretch marks. And like you were saying, like, I'm not judging people who want to get their loose skin removed or anything, who want to get anything. But just like personally, I'm like, is this worth, just because I can, does it mean that I should? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a friend who posted on Facebook. She had a C-section, and she's very fit. Like, she was very fit before she got pregnant. She got pregnant, like, stayed fit throughout pregnancy, and then, like, you know, really bounced back. I hate that term, but like really went almost immediately back with a lot of hard work. She put in a lot of hard work to get back to where she was. But she was talking about like why it's so taboo to like show your C-section scar. She's like, I'm happy to show my C-section scar and talk about it to anybody that wants to see it. But yet, like, it's weird if like I were to ask somebody to see their C-section scar.
Yeah.
And so there was conversation about like, why is that? And someone mentioned like, I'm happy to show mine, but like it's under like a roll of fat or a roll of skin or whatever. And so maybe that's why people are uncomfortable showing it, because they don't want to like expose themselves in front of other people. I don't know. So it was just it was an interesting conversation. And I'm like, I don't know. Like I've never experienced that, you know? Thankfully.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people think about when they're thinking about getting a C-section, they're thinking about having to go through the surgery. They're not thinking about that they're going to have like a major scar for like the rest of their life. Of course, they try to put it like low enough. And not that that's a reason not to get a C-section, but just like, I think it's something that we just miss that like C-section moms go through and like have for then like the rest of their life and stuff like that. And a lot of people do get like the extra skin like on top and stuff like that and everything.
Like
and that's not something, and that's not really something that can necessarily be like getting rid of and stuff without maybe even plastic surgery and stuff. And so yeah,
a lot of people don't realize too, like the recovery that goes into those scars, like scar massage and all like pelvic floor therapy, like all of the things that go into C-section recovery, because it's not talked about. But a lot of that can help with like desensitizing it and can help with the C-section shelf, like all of that. But you just don't know what you don't know. But anyways, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
And we have two, not that there aren't other great pelvic floor PTs to talk about this, but we have two great pelvic floor PTs in the area that we live in that had C-sections. Bethany from Well Core PT, who we had on to talk for our sexual health episode, and Amanda from Empower Your Pelvis. She had C-sections. They talked a lot about scar mobility and working with that. But I think it comes from this, like, which we are so against as doulas, but like this narrative that for some reason that C-sections are like the easy way out of like, you don't have a reason to complain because your vagina didn't get ruined, which is like also gross of like vaginal birth doesn't ruin your vagina either. But like people have this kind of mindset where then it's like the recovery aspect of the fact that people did go through birth, like, and major surgery is not discussed about like how to work through that. It's almost just seen as like a surgery and you're going to get over it versus like the reality of you went through pregnancy, birth, and a surgery all together. And like that is going to require physical therapy and time to like get all that kind of feeling right again. And that's what Amanda from Empower Your Pelvis, she talks about that a lot, is like she had a lot of pain with sex and pelvic floor issues after her C-sections, and like she didn't realize how much that the C-section kind of pull all the muscles like really tight and everything and make like difficulty in the pelvic floor. So
and that changes the appearance of it, changes 100%. Your appearance of your belly and all of that. And so I mean, I don't blame anybody wanting to do work, but it definitely is something that I have like thought about but also struggled with. And like as far as like would I want to do that, I don't know. Obviously that's why I haven't done it yet.
And that's like exactly where I'm from, of like I joke all the time like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a boob lift like one day, but then I'm also like, as I get older and then like I get more confident and care less about what my body looks like, so then I'm like, well, do I care enough to spend thousands of dollars and go under anesthesia and like go into the knife just to get a boob lift? Or do I want to like be proud of my body and just what it did? And not saying that you can't get work done and still be proud and confident in your body, but like sometimes I think it's like the internal work is so much harder than doing the action item of like trying to resolve the issue. But that internal work is going to have to be done regardless. So like, even if you get a boob lift, if you're not confident in who you are or comfortable with yourself, you're still going to have to do, like, you're still not going to feel comfortable and confident with yourself if you get a boob lift, if you don't do the internal work to just like be comfortable with who you are and like
and be healthy.
Yeah.
Like, that's the other side of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I'm preaching to the choir because I run on iced coffee and, you know,
same
preaching to the choir. But I mean, the other part of that too is so much of like your mental health and mental clarity and all that is related to your hormone health and, you know, making sure that you're getting enough vitamins and nutrients and, you know, all the good things that you need to take care of yourself and your family and all that. So
and feel good and
so it's like you could do all the work on the outside that you want, but like if you're not actually taking care of the inside, like you said, internally, like mentally, but also the inside, like physical aspect of it, then it's kind of not worth it.
Yeah, you're not gonna feel good. You're not gonna feel exactly. Yeah. I think
you could still really struggle with like anxiety and depression and all that. Like it's not a fix all. So
100%. And I would encourage any moms who are like anxious about their body. Like, this helped me so much after having my second kid. Because if I'm gonna be honest, after my first kid, my body looked pretty much the same. So like, I hate to say, but like after my second, like I look way different after having a 10-pound baby. So like, something that helped me a lot last summer was like, instead of looking at social media, looking at the people around me, like not like in a judgy way at all, but like actually just like opening my eyes to how people exist in this world, because social media has changed our perceptions of how people our age are existing, because we're seeing the prettiest, best person who gets the most likes on our feeds. And so like actually opening your eyes when you're at the pool, when you're at the beach, when you're walking around this summer in your shorts and tank top, being like, everybody else is existing in, like, the majority of people are existing in perfectly normal bodies. They have cellulite, they have saggy boobs, they have arm flap, whatever. Like, we're all existing in our bodies, and like that's normal. That's the majority of people, and that helps a lot.
And also find the people that you do resonate with to follow on social media. Like, it's okay if you want to follow the fitness influencer who's beautiful and looks perfect and all the things. Like, I guarantee you they're not perfect. But also follow the real people who are real and raw, and who are moms who maybe work or own a business or whatever it is you're doing. Like, find those people that you can actually resonate with, because it makes a heck of a difference when you start seeing their content versus like all these like fitness influencers, people that don't have kids, like young people traveling the world,
like their only job is to look like you want their life. Do you know what I mean? Like, to want to aspire their life. Like, that's their brand. So, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with those people. Sometimes I do follow some really nice aesthetic people because I enjoy their content. But fill your feed with other people as well, I think is so important. So well, good chat.
It was a good chat. It's kind of all over the place.
But I hope you guys enjoyed catching up with us.
Hopefully if you're listening, you've stuck with us. We appreciate it. Sorry we were gone for so long, but we're back.
Yeah, we're back. We're better than ever. Not really. 4 teeth less. 4 teeth less and a cough.
We're surviving. We're surviving just like everyone else. So
yes, we are. Well, it was so great to see you. I missed chatting with you. So
I know. All right. Well, we'll see all the moms in the middle next week.
See you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.